Hey there, Deadheads. Gerhard here again with another Dead release, and this time it's not just the new release, which is Europe 72 50th Anniversary Edition in that rainbow-colored vinyl, but it's our first shootout on the channel, comparing it to our dilapidated, much-loved, but much worn-out copy of Europe 72 from 50 years ago. So let's talk about how they sound, how they look, how they feel, and is this 50th Anniversary Edition worth it? First, and most importantly, a question that we'll get into today is, did they fix the speed problem in the original Europe 72 record from 50 years ago? That is a complaint that many have had. The question is, did they change that? We'll get into that. First, I want to show you what's in the package. We have our Europe 72. This is a trifold book, a trifold jacket like they originally had for the Europe 72 release, and I hate it. These trifold releases, no jacket breaks as quickly as a trifold release, but we do have this gorgeous vinyl. This is our rainbow edition vinyl. I'll give you the close-ups, cut away to that to make sure you can see it in all of its glory, because it is quite beautiful vinyl. This is the rainbow edition that came out about a week ago. Black edition, normal colored vinyl edition, is coming out later this year by the end of July, I believe. I think this is new, the jacket. I don't believe the original had this jacket, or at least my original didn't have this jacket, with some beautiful photographs, some liner notes, a nod to our good old Grateful Dead cast. Maybe it did have, the original did have this jacket, because if we look at these t-shirts that were for sale, probably 1972 pricing at $3.95 each. Dead.net, I looked high and low, could not find any $3.95 t-shirts on Dead.net right now. I was really hoping to get that Ice Cream Kid t-shirt. Additionally, this release comes with a sticker celebrating the Deadcast. You know, I'm sure if you are like me, you've been following along with Jesse Jarnow, Rich Mahan, and the boys with the good old Grateful Dead cast. And I also really want to call attention to the details. On this pressing, on the label, you can see, similar to that Record Store Day release that they did, gotta get really close, but on the record label you'll see it's got that blotter pattern, that grid blotter pattern. That wasn't in the original pressing. It's just a really cool, fine detail that has been included in this, and I think it's a continuation of a lot of the releases that they've been doing recently. So that, as I mentioned, the Record Store Day, Wembley Empire Pool box set release that came out back in April. I think a lot of the material surrounding the Europe 72 re-release, I'm sure we'll see that blotter pattern within that 24 LP box set from the Lyceum box that's coming out. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that coming up. And that is it for the packaging of Europe 72 50th Anniversary Edition. Now, if we compare this to the original, I don't know how many of you guys have the Green Label original or that 2011 repress that was, I think, on high-quality vinyl. I think it was on 180-gram vinyl. Mine, like I said, I don't love these trifold jackets because mine is falling apart. And it's actually not even mine, but this is inherited from my father. And so this is kind of a special, this edition means a lot to me. But if we look inside here, I don't have the original liner notes. I do have the original inner sleeves. Kind of strange, a little bit of Warner advertising, and then I'm not really sure what this is on the back. But if we open this up a little bit more, and you can see I'm having difficulty with it, even with these very thin, not 180-gram records that were from that 1972 edition. Instead, I have this drawing, which, you know, is the album cover artwork. But it's kind of funny. I don't know who drew this, but in 1973, it seems one of my father's friends drew that Europe 72 cover. And then we also have a little bit of ephemera of these 58 Grateful Dead songs pictures. How many can you find? A classic Grateful Dead print, probably a bootleg from the era. But the moment I'm sure we've all been waiting for is that shootout. How do they sound? I've read on those Steve Hoffman forums that they call it the Bellman cut, the 2011 cut, doesn't sound so great, even though it's on 180 gram high quality vinyl. They say that the dynamic range isn't very good, the clarity isn't very good. You just don't get that oomph that the original had, despite the fact that the original was on really low quality vinyl. The raw materials were not very good. So I wanted to know, what does this new version sound like? They mentioned on the Dead.net store that this has been processed with the Plangent process, so it's not an all analog process. We know that they have to digitize the original tapes. The Plangent process is kind of a speed control process to make sure that any speed fluttering, either too fast, too slow, these old tapes, they start to do that. They degrade over time, canceling out any of that. But the question many people had when reading that it was processed with the Plangent process, did they change the speed? Because the original was sped up a little bit. We know that the vocals were overdubbed. There was some processing after the fact. We're not getting those raw soundboards that you would get in that, all 22 show CD box set, that trunk that they came out with about 10 years ago. So that speed change still exists in this copy. Jerry does sound a little bit high-pitched in a few of the songs. They really did a recreation the way it was meant to be heard. They followed kind of the artistic intent of not just the band, not just the live crew, but the studio crew from the original release. Another note on the audio qualities. Now, my old release, this 1972 release, as you can see, it's been much loved. It's worn down. It snaps. It crackles. It pops. It's like a bowl of Rice Krispies, which is to be expected. I've cleaned it up. I've gave it a wet cleaning, and it still snaps, crackles, and pops from years and years of being loved. This new version, very clean, very quiet, but I think it lacks some of the depth. I noticed this most on Phil's bass during Cumberland Blues. Really looking for not just that thud and that oomph of the bass, but the texture of hearing the bass, those strings, hearing the notes being played, and not just a thud from a bass guitar or a kick drum. I think that this new version lacks some of that texture, but you really got to listen for it. You really got to be headphone listening, really leaned in on a high quality system to really hear that. If you're looking for a clean copy of Europe 72, you're going to be really hard pressed to find something better than what Grateful Dead Productions have just released. It sounds really good. It doesn't sound perfect. It's not the best copy, but that doesn't exist anymore. Unless you can find a new dead stock, clean, probably still shrink-wrapped edition of this record from 50 years ago, you're not going to get that best quality pressing. And so I think this is the replacement to get. Skip over that 2011 Bellman cut and go straight to either the Rainbow Edition, and I'm sure the Black Edition that comes out in July will sound probably just as good as this. And so I'm going to say this is a big recommend. I think the package, they did a great job. The pressing, they did a great job. The vinyl, they did a great job. And so strongly recommend it. And so with all that being said, it's time to wrap this up. I'm really excited for the releases that are coming out later this summer. We've got Jerry Garcia Acoustic Band, Ragged But Right, coming out this weekend. We've got the re-release of the Spring 1990 box set coming out in July. And then a little bit later at the end of July, we've got that, as I mentioned, that big Lyceum box set, 24 LP box set, which I am very excited about hearing. In addition to that, we've got Dead Tour. It's kicked off. I've been couch touring, streaming from Nugs for all those West Coast dates. I'm looking forward to Chicago, New York. It's all on the same street. I'll be catching a few shows this summer, and I'll be catching the tour closer for the very first time. And so I'm quite excited for that. And here's to hoping I finally get my Dark Star. I've seen Dead & Company quite a few times. I've seen Bobby solo, never gotten my Dark Star. And so I'm going to 3 concerts this summer. Hopefully one of them are a Dark Star. And so thank you very much for joining me today, as always. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you guys are enjoying Europe 72 as much as I am. Thank you very much again. Peace.